Not the Prime
We just
Minister.
calm and no opinion. Just don't say
We should
anything.
do something, and the Prime Minister Abe is now doing that calmly, in calm. So that's why he himself also cannot say anything explicitly about that. No, he never mentioned about that kind of issues at the major, medias.
This is
But,
this is
if-
Japanese style.
But if we see what happens during the first and the second cabinet of Prime Minister Abe, he established so many laws, and also one of the good example is signing on the Palermo Treaty about
What is that?
Palermo treaties last December, I guess. And that is fundamentally the treaties between amongst almost all the other nations which belongs to the United Nations, and that is a treaty to exchange any kind of information of a terrorist among them. But the Japan was the only last the nations amongst all the other advanced nation, can I say? And there were only a few nations which did not sign on the Palermo.
What the
Palermo.
Palermo, it's a city in Sicily,
What
capital of Sicily.
That is a treaty amongst almost all the UN the nations.
Anti-terror
To
agreement.
agree with exchanging any kind of information of the terrorist.
Oh,
The Japan was only the last nation among the advanced countries, and if we see what kind of nations remained without a sign was the North Korea or the Somalia. So that from the aspect of the other European countries, they saw the attitude of Japan like Japan is a nation of the supporting terrorism. But in past, the Japanese government tried to sign on maybe 6 or 7 times, but always the counter the political party, Minshito, denied and objected, and we could not do that. But for this time, in first and second Abe cabinet, they could get enough number of the chairs so that finally they could do that. So such kind of if we see such kind of situation, there are also same sort of the effort was done by the Prime Minister Abe without saying nothing. So all of them are related to each other.
But it's very strange that this has not been exposed in the media.
No, because all the media are the left-hand side, ultra left.
But so now it has been signed, but there's not a big brouhaha.
So that the signing on the Palermo is just one of the iceberg. So that still there.
why all the media is left side? Why? How come America is the same, right?
But there are a variety of reasons. But for example, the Asahi newspaper, that company is clearly under the control of the China.
Not only Asahi, Mainichi.
Mainichi, Yomiuri, almost all the major newspaper and the TV station, radio. So that now almost all the information which broadcasted in Japanese through those.
So some people move into the YouTube, right?
But sorry, is the media not controlled by the advertisers?
Advertisers mean the sponsor?
You mean the owner?
So that now, that is also complicated issue.
Why Asahi is the left side?
Always.
Why?
Why? maybe there are so many the foreigners inside, and so of course there is a headquarters in Tokyo, and also the several Chinese newspaper and TV stations branch exist inside of Asahi.
But there are also there's just a lot of sympathy for left-wing ideas in Japan, no?
Because the education of after World War II?
Yes, that is also a part of the reason. During the 7 years of occupation period, GHQ tried to change everything, including the education. Education is one of the most important target for them, and they sent the knowledgeable teachers group to the Japan, and we had a discussion how we changed the law about education and the schooling system, the curriculum, everything was discussed among them.
This means that Trump is through hate media and focus on Twitter.
Yes.
Hmm?
So eventually, we could not hire the proposed the plans, which was proposed by the teachers or educators group from the United States.
But why Abe don't write his opinion in Twitter? I don't like Trump.
So again, I think he is very, very
common sense, normal mind.
No. 慎重
So
conservative.
not conservative.
careful.
Careful, yeah. He's very, very careful.
Yeah, because he's not really a leader. Not in the European sense of actually, especially the American sense of leadership.
Apparently, yeah, I agree. But there is a reason. Because
Because he grew up in Japan.
yes.
Because in Japan, that's how leadership is something that's given. It has to do with experience, about being supported by factions and put forward. But a leadership is a different kind of person in Japan.
But I have some kind of a different opinion about Prime Minister Abe. The leadership should not be always some kind of a very aggressive and apparent attitude like Donald Trump.
Oh, no. But I mean, let's take Obama was not an aggressive but still a leader.
And already some of the Japanese people already received his aggressive messages from a Prime Minister Abe, like me. So that whatever the European people says about his attitude, but still we believe. I believe him. Yes. Abe, Prime Minister Abe. He was the last chance for us, last hope for us. So that
So we not hope for.
yeah, because there's no the person who have a right to stop to change this situation of Japan. So and he did really well in first and second cabinet, and now this of course is the last cabinet. So maybe 3 years. So this will be the some kind of Tennouzan, can I say, most important phase for his I can say task job. Yeah. So there are so many. So that once again to understand the situation around Mr. Abe, one of the good information is to know that what happens after or from 1948 to the 1953 in Japan.
Yeah, okay, but the reason I think we can agree or disagree about whether Abe is the best prime minister. Basically, he is a typical, as far as I'm concerned, a typical prime minister for Japan. A leader that has been who has grown up in Japan, who has been put forward by his people and is representing them. But it's a different kind of leader than we see from the United States, who emerges as a individual and who is outspoken, who points in a certain direction and manages to inspire people to follow him. It's a completely different kind of person.
I agree.
That's the. I think that's the point. But that same attitude is actually different for every single individual, both in Japan as in Europe and the United States. Every business person is basically an individual who has to prove him or herself and manages to persuade people of his or her skills and gets into a position where he or she can basically negotiate or whatever. Whereas in Japan it's a different situation. It's just like Abe. It's experience. It's basically how you have built up your skills and trustworthiness, and how you manage to through your trustworthy behavior manage to get more supporters from you, and that's basically how you get into this. But that is also, you owe your position because of the people who support you. That's why you always need to look back when you are engaging with people. That's why people who represent Japan, represent the Japanese delegation, always have a responsibility towards the people behind them. That's why they cannot never be radical in their approach, in bringing change, in radically making. That's one thing, radically bringing change, but also building up relationships with people who are looking for somebody who's taking charge, who takes responsibility and can say, okay, yes, we're going to do this and I'm going to make it happen. The Japanese